They are all leading international experts in their respective fields. They are all contributing to humanity's progress worldwide and now in China. They are all aligning their vision with China's future. They are all here on My China.
Professor Robert Gilbert is a world-renowned polymer chemist. An Australian, he's served in leadership roles in the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, or IUPAC, the world's governing body of the discipline.
I've been fortunate enough to have been given some medals in my time, awards for various things, and I suppose this, the Craig Medal of the Australian Academy of Science, is given to the top person in all of chemistry over a certain period of time. It's given by our Australian Academy of Science for somebody who has made a huge contribution to all of chemical science.
During his tenure at the University of Queensland, Professor Gilbert's research focused specifically on the relations between starch structure and nutrition. For the past 4 years, he's been developing his work at the Huazhong University of Science and Technology in the city of Wuhan in China. As a key national university, HUST was founded in 1952. It's one of 4 national universities that house state laboratories and major state scientific research centers. Nature magazine has named it among the 10 leading science and technology research institutions in China.
I think is a better place to achieve. It has more opportunities, more, I'm going to use a metaphor, more fertile soil.
Professor Gilbert's description of China as fertile soil is a reference to the country's fast and comprehensive development in recent years in the field of bioscience. Wuhan, where the university is located, has become one of the leading cities in China in this respect. And the local government, working with the State Administration of Foreign Expert Affairs, has attracted several leading foreign researchers like Professor Gilbert.
About 7 or 8 years ago, I was encouraged by the academic in charge of research at the University of Queensland. He said, "Hey Bob, we're very happy with what you're doing. Have you thought of having more interactions with China?" Because he's originally from China. I said, "Oh, okay." And he said, "Well, see what we can do." So we started looking for people in an area of interest. We found a professor, went over and started some experiments that turned out to be really important. But her husband, who's a professor at HUST, said, "Hey, Bob," yes, "Hey, Bob, there's this 1,000 Talents program. You might be interested in it." And part of the attraction was showing me this and being able to work here. So fundamentally, that's how I ended up here.
Professor Gilbert is based at the Wuhan Institute of Biotechnology, an incubator established by the local government to boost the development of biotechnology and the associated industry.
The various certificates that I have, this one is the 1,000 Talents program of the Foreign Experts Bureau, which is a very important one because it's a very great honour to be appointed to this program.
The program was initiated by the Chinese government in 2008 with the aim of attracting world-leading scientists to support China's strategic development. The professor was given an initial budget of $1 million for his research upon his arrival in 2012. He used the money to rent half a floor at the Wuhan Institute of Biotechnology, where he set up a well-equipped, well-staffed laboratory.
This is the best piece of equipment of its type in the whole world. Twice the resolution of similar pieces of equipment, and what it does is it looks at the individual lengths of molecules on starch and on glycogen, like looking at the individual branches on a tree. If we go into the next lab, we also have a world-leading piece of equipment that is good as any other in the world, and this, which is called size exclusion chromatography, this looks at the size of these whole molecules. In diabetic mice livers, that the thing that holds the beta particles together into the alpha particles, that bonding is fragile. It falls apart easily.
Professor Gilbert has built up a reputation in the world of chemistry for his pioneering work. He's been directing his latest efforts towards developing a new diabetes treatment. By coming to China, he's taken a significant step further along his career path.
Chromatography, or HPSec. It has various names. The important thing is it separates molecules by their total size. In 10 or 20 years, the world's biggest public health problem is going to be diabetes in China. That matters a lot. That should matter a lot to anyone, because it will be hundreds of millions of people that are going to be suffering from a debilitating disease. That public health problem will be the biggest in the world. It will dwarf anything at present, things like malaria and so on. Okay, those are problems now, but this here will be the world's biggest. So I regard it as a privilege to be able to work in the country which is going to have the world's biggest public health problem, to work on two different aspects of trying to, first of all, prevent that, and also to manage it. I'll describe these later on. This is the best in the world. This is as good as any in the world.
After years of work, Professor Gilbert achieved a breakthrough relating to the biophysical mechanics of the disease, discovering that diabetes is uncontrolled glucose release.
Professor Gilbert gave us a very interesting talk. He created and find a very new drug target for diabetes treatment.
I think his theory is very useful for the drug screening of Chinese traditional medicine. We can use his theory to screen our traditional Chinese medicine for the possible drugs to cure diabetes.
他在这个为我们青年教授的包括科学研究啊，这个本科生教学呀，这个传授了很多经验。
The story of China is a story of change. We tell the story because we believe what happens here makes the world different every day.
Life is a journey of discovering different perspectives. We are young, open-minded, and dynamic. We push the envelope and think out of the box.
CCTV News is one of the voices in the world, and our voice is new and loud.
I am from America, but I live and work in China. Great powers have big stories. CCTV News is watching closely.
I like sharp but informed opinions. Television is not just a show. We deliver a voice of reason through balanced dialogue and very tough discussions. We believe ideas matter.
aligning their vision with China's future. They are all here on My China.
The professor's research team is comprised solely of Chinese students. They are another reason why he's chosen to stay in China for so long.
其实他在昆士兰的时候，他的实验室里面有大量的是中国学生，我看到了。那么到中国来以后，更多的中国学生围绕在身边，这个也让他呢感到非常有一种这种，就是帮助年轻人啊怎么去进步啊，怎么去实现他的这个事业的发展的有关。
Working here in China, which is actually an enormous privilege and what frankly is the most exciting country in the world. This is the country now where so much of world energy is. I mean, world energy in people. That's the fundamental reason that I'm here. A population of young, enthusiastic people that wants to do things.
As someone who is committed to the training of young scientists, Professor Gilbert is noted for developing novel theoretical and experimental methods of studying complex systems.
So for me, the most important thing that I can do here as a foreign researcher is to train good young Chinese scientists to be better than they ever thought possible. In fact, that's generally my aim. And to help good young scientists here think critically and independently at an international level. That's the first goal. The second is to do research in the particular field in which we're in a way that not just makes nice research or nice products, but actually is of real significance to all of China, especially in things like public health. Because there are about 10 or 20 different ways. It's wonderful for me when people whom I have trained are able to say to me when we have these discussions, which we do every week, hey Bob, look, what you've suggested is okay, but look, this is what I think is a better idea. In other words, they don't do what the boss says. What they do is what they think is best, independent and critical thinking. And our team does this. China needs to win a lot more Nobel Prizes.
Another essential point in training young scientists, so Professor Gilbert contends, is to get them to communicate with one another. He believes that the collision of thoughts can generate new ideas.
So everyone will give the talk, the research talk in this meeting about like everyone has about 25 minutes to talk about their research to, let people to know what they are doing and give them some suggestions.
For Professor Gilbert, the ultimate goal of the training he provides is to produce young theoreticians.
Only a small number of them are theoreticians, say 10%, but they are essential. Because if you don't have theory, you can just keep on collecting data. And the data that we obtain here are very complicated. Well, you have to be able to do something with those. You need a theory to turn data into something that tells you something.
Professor Gilbert is meeting a new student he's recently recruited, someone he believes holds strong potential as a theoretician.
Hua is a new student in our group, and she is going to be continuing our work on diabetes and especially looking at what happens when Chinese traditional medicine is used. Add me, to be theoreticians, there aren't very many people who like that, so we always want new, good theoreticians. They're very, very important for us.
He sets absolute store by maintaining rigorously strict laboratory safety standards.
After we enter lab, we should wear lab coat, and there is an induction. about how to wear lab coat. And before we start our experiment, we must know all the chemicals, the dangers of the chemicals you will use. So here is a material safety data sheet. In this file, we can find all the information of the chemical you will use. So if you know all the information, you may know what the potential dangerous is, and you may know how to solve that.
那么这个吉尔伯特教授呢，他到中国来了以后啊，尤其在实验室的这种管理，有些安全意识上面，那是我们国内很多科学家忽略到的地方。这一点实际上对我们日常的这种管理工作，还是给了我们带来很多的思考和很多的这种启发的。
Professor Gilbert has good reason for being so strict about the safety standards he exacts.
The first thing you have to look after is the well-being of the people in your team. You've got to make sure in all sorts of ways their well-being is okay. First and foremost is working in the labs, because labs are inherently risky places. Often you're doing something which has never been done before. So you have to make sure that there is absolutely minimal chance of them being injured in any way whatsoever. So we are very strict in making sure that we obey the regulations here and internationally. You have to wear lab coats if you're in part of the lab where there are chemicals. You have to wear safety glasses. If you're actually working with the chemicals yourself, you have to wear the gloves, because you might think, oh, this can't possibly go wrong. But it's when it sometimes goes wrong. I remember probably 20 years ago in my labs in Australia, a student, very good, very safety conscious, he was just walking through the labs some Sunday afternoon in a bit of a hurry. He said, oh, I'll take a shortcut through the labs, didn't bother about safety glasses. Something went wrong. He got some drops of a chemical in his eye that could have been extremely dangerous. He was able, fortunately, to wash it out immediately, but it could have caused him major vision problems. Even though he was careful, he thought, it's only for a few minutes. It's those occasions that can do people real damage. So it might be very, very rare, but you have to look after the people who work with you. You're the person, it's your responsibility.
Back at home, the students make sure that the professor is well looked after.
Well, we live with Bob together, and usually we cook it every day, and Bob also cooks for us from time to time. We're actually quite cozy with this kind of patterns.
He provides free lodgings for his students and pays all the bills. He's been doing this for years, even back in Australia.
And
They are all aligning their vision with China's future. They are all here on My China.
Today, Bob, as he's popularly known, is thanking his students with a meal cooked by himself.
三个鸡很大的三个不切这个是很大 OK 好的不切 This is a terrible day for chickens in Wuhan. I'm very unlike Chinese. I like shopping in a hurry, or to be precise, I don't like shopping. Maybe 5 or 6 nights a week I would cook, or I would eat Chinese, but one night a week I would like to cook Western, because in Australia we're used to a whole range of foods, both Western and non-Western, and the best way to get good Western food here is to cook it myself. So what I'm cooking this evening, well, the main course is a very traditional, I suppose, Anglo-Saxon dish. Roast chicken with stuffing. So the whole one thing we have here that's unusual in Wuhan, or in China generally, this is a real oven, a whole oven, not a microwave. Everything heats up. That was not easy to get, because sometimes you see things that are just... your director also asked me, what about the relationship between cooking and science? Well, of course, cooking is just a type of chemistry, after all.
Well, how about cook? It depends. If he's happy, then happy.
All the time, then.
That's not the truth.
When I was 12 years old, I fell in love for the very first time, because I started having my first lessons in high school in chemistry. I thought, wow, I like this, and it started to make sense. I really enjoyed it, and persuaded my mother to buy me a chemistry set. And after 3 weeks of that, I decided I wanted to be a chemist. And I still am.
So Bob has remained a bachelor since his teenage years and given all his love to science, until he paid a visit to the Provincial Museum in Wuhan for the first time.
I love this part of the museum, the porcelains. And this is my very favorite. The 12 cups, the 12 porcelain cups with the 12 flowers that are in bloom for the 12 months. One of the reasons I like porcelain so much, well, it's delicacy, and so often, as I was saying with those, the peacefulness, but also it's something which you don't need language for. Like music, it doesn't need language. Although, of course, like music, it is a very strong expression of the culture. And as I gradually start to understand Chinese culture more, I start to understand more and more of the beauties of the porcelain.
那么他很容易适应中国的这个文化，他也特别喜欢。他实际上呢，作为一个科学家，这是一个科学家的一个共性。 他的思想很活跃。
To think about, it's quite viable if we could find the right sort of starch to ask some of the big companies. The obvious ones are Rocket and Iridium. So we already work with Rocket, which is the world's third largest company, starch company. They have a lot of manufacture here in China. They're very big in China. They're always after new markets.
Making new discoveries isn't the only course Professor Gilbert's career is taking. He's also hoping to work with a Chinese pharmaceuticals company to develop his theoretical achievements into a new drug for treating diabetes.
So you might have, say, 20 different people. You give them a list of properties, and with each property you might have somewhere between 1 and 10. And you train them with various samples. You then absorb all that, you might modify the questions, and then you give them the food that you want them to grade. So it's a very scientific process, it has to be done properly.
You want the people to participate in this test. They will agree on this food test, like we will make sure it's safety. It's like a food used for the patients, so participants will come from hospitals, patients, or nursing house, something like that. So we also need the people agree on this ethical issue.
It's not nearly as cheap, but lecithin gum is always expensive, and the supply, I think, is rather limited.
He faces not only a great opportunity, but also a serious challenge, the element of time.
Very high value added.
Aware of how long it would take to commercialize his scientific discoveries in China, he decided to buy somewhere to live, rather than renting.
Why I purchased my own apartment here in Wuhan, which I believe is somewhat unusual among foreign experts. There are actually several reasons for that. First of all, I have a long-term commitment to China. As I have said before, China is the most exciting country in the world, and it's quite a privilege spending a lot of time working here. Uranium. Not wanting to earn lots of money, not wanting to win all prizes, but to do good work that matters to humanity. And this is the biggest single part of humanity here in China.
It's no secret that China now is shaping the world. Bob is the most intelligent scientist who come to China to explore more on his career. He has aware of that.
I mean, I don't want to retire. I love what I do. That doesn't mean I love every moment of what I do, but the big picture of what we do, I love. I really like it.
As a man of vision, Professor Robert Gilbert has taken a leap of faith in both his professional and his personal life. He's aligning his future with that of China.